Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Ryan Rice. On this episode, we want to go over the Yakima box. We're going to go over how we mounted it to the trailer, if you guys didn't catch that when I got the trailer, and what I keep in it, and my 1 month review. We had it for, I think, a little over a month now, so we want to go over what we like about it, what we don't like about it, and some tips of how to utilize this box. Go over real quick how I mounted this to the trailer if you didn't catch that video, but you can see it's a nice sized box. It's made to hold 8-foot rods. It's lockable. You know, it's a plastic, but it's a durable plastic, but you know, it's still just plastic. Do I think it's worth the money? Yes and no. You know, I still think it's expensive for the box for being plastic and what it is. But that's today's world. Everything's expensive. I did get this during Christmas. They had like I think a 20 or a 40%. I forgot what it was. Probably 20% off site wide. And I ended up getting this box for I think a little over $500. But I think the retail value on it most of the time is like $7 something. So it's not cheap. Is it worth it? Like I said, yes and no. It's worth it for protecting your rods during transport for sure. It's better than carrying it just in your tube. You know, if you carry it in your tube, you definitely want to put a rod wrap on it, and that's what I'm going to get to about this as well, about this box. But let's get over the mounting. So it comes with flat hardware, like a plate that you mount inside, and it's adjustable, and it usually comes with thumb screws. But being I keep stuff in the bottom of this box, I eliminated the thumb screws and just used the brass inserts. I knocked them out of the thumb screws and used that plate to wrap around the bar on this trailer that On the Water Innovations had set up for this. But you know, then he also puts, you know, stainless steel 3/8 hardware, you know, does like little flat plates off of this as well, to be able to just mount that through. You just mark the holes, drill it through, and you can see it's right there with a little washer. But I also wanted to, being it's just plastic, and you know the washers are not really big, you can use a little bit of a larger flat washer, but I also used a flat plate as well and wrapped it around the bar. So it took a little bit of work. If you watch that video on the trailer itself, I actually put a little bit of you know, like a soft rubber in between the metal and the plastic itself, just to give a little bit of protection. But obviously I can't really show you that, but you can see a little bit of it sticking out there. But I also wanted to use this that came with the Yakima box, just because it's a larger flat plate, and it'll pull down and, you know, secure the plastic more to the trailer. You can see it shakes the whole trailer anyway. It's not coming off. Even if I just used the hardware, it probably would have worked. But you can see this comes, you know, the Yakima itself comes with hardware to actually mount to their ladder racks, or any ladder rack itself that's, you know, no wider than, you know, what this really is would be here to mount it to. But you can see it doesn't sit completely flat up in there, but it's, you know, because it's made more for those arrow bars that you see on, you know, Thule or Yakima itself, or even a regular ladder rack. You could use this to wrap around it, and you could probably also just, you know, do some extra hardware like I did. It comes with seals that run on this strip here in the middle, and you know, they do it basically, it's like a slot all the way down through this, so you can adjust this wherever you need to on your rack. The seals itself weren't really, you know, I cut them to length and snapped them in, but they were popping right out. They weren't holding worth really of anything. I think I left the seals in there. Yeah, the seals are still in there, but they would not stay in the slots itself. So I took some black Gorilla tape just to hold that seal down, and also give this a little bit more of a dust proof, you know, tight water, a little bit more of a dust proof, watertight fit. And I just used that black Gorilla tape to go on top of those seals. I think that's it's a crappy seal, I can tell you that much. They need to do a softer rubber to be able to snap in here and hold better. This is not a big deal putting the tape on here as well, but for the price you pay for this box, they should use a better quality seal, in my opinion, that snaps in here and stays in there properly. You know, you could heat it up in the sun, it still didn't make a difference. It would not hold in this slot at all, so I just wrapped it with tape. So that's the mounting, but you can see how much room you have underneath where the rods are, and I'm going to show you what I actually keep in my box here. So to start, I keep my catch board in here. I just lay that at the bottom, gives it plenty of room, and this is the longer catch board too. I also keep my Yakima anchor light flag, or Visipole it's called. I keep that at the bottom, and I keep that in the bottom here as well. Sorry, trying to talk too fast here. So I keep that in the bottom here as well. Normally I wrap it up a little bit, and that lays in here as well. And then I also throw my paddle in here. And you can, all your paddles break down in halves anyway. So I just use the one side of the paddle because the other one I keep in the kayak itself anyways, just for emergency use, because being it's a fin, the Hobie's fin driven, and I also have a motor. This is just really for launching and coming back to the ramp. I also keep my Yakima camera mount pole in here as well. And then once again, that just slides in there. Now, my Yakima net almost really fit in here, but being it's folded, it folds up, and it's kind of thicker when it folds. It doesn't really sit in here well. It fit, but it stuck up too high past where the rods sit. Your straight regular nets would definitely fit in here as well, no problem. Now you have a really wide net. I tried opening the Yakima net and laying it in here, but being it's that's that leverage landing net, it kind of has a curve to it, and it was just still sticking up too high for where the rods sit. This Yakima box is made to hold 8 rods. The most I would probably say to be rigged up and sitting in here, you could squeeze in 8, but I think 6 is really your best number to be in here. Most of the time I carry 5 rods, so it works out well. And the good thing being it's padded here and it's elevated, it stays protected, even when it's bouncing around on this trailer. And that's what we're going to get into next, is when the rods are in here, there's something I have to do myself to either fix the problem or do it the right way, and I'll go over that in a minute. So here's my 5 rods sitting in here. You can probably get them side by side, but most of the time I leave like a space in between, just get a little bit more room for definitely the spinning rods. This one has a shaky head on it, but the rest have no rigs on it. So me personally, I like to rig my rods the night before and have my lures on there. That's the reason why I got this box. It's probably partially due because it's on the trailer and the trailer's light, so it bounces around a lot. But when you have crankbaits, basically anything with treble hooks on it, a lot of times they come off the rods and get all tangled up in the other lines, on the other rods. And I have a little bit of a time to get them all separated out when I get to the ramp. And it definitely on, like when I go on the dirt roads and stuff and the trailer's really bouncing, the rods stay in their holder, but the lures definitely come off the rods. Now, I could probably say the way to fix that is if I get rod wraps with the lure keepers on them, and I think that would solve the issue. But it's just something else. It's just another step I have to do at the ramp and pull the rod wraps off. It's not a horrible thing to do. I may do it down in the future to eliminate that problem. But for right now, what I'm doing now is I'm actually, if I'm doing a short trip, I rig them, and I know it's not gonna be bouncy road, and for the most part it works out. But when I know I go on a longer ride, definitely, on a lot of bumpy roads, especially down here in the south, the roads are, it could be a little bit better. I'm actually rigging up at the ramp, so I'm giving myself a little extra time at the ramp to rig up in the morning and leaving no lures on the rods and reels themselves, and it's been working out fine. I got to see what I want to do. It's added cost to put rod wraps on this, and lure keepers itself, and a decent one with a lure keeper, you're probably looking about $30 a rod, so that's $150, and just lure keepers and rod wraps, which that would actually pay for another rod. So either I just take the time and do it in the mornings when I go, and just leave like an extra half an hour early and give myself time at the ramp. I mean, I got enough lights and everything to see when I'm out there. It's just like, when you get to the water, you want to get on the water and go. But that's what I'm doing right now. I'm taking the extra time in the morning to just rig up my rods at the ramp. Maybe in the future I may do the rod wraps and the lure keepers, and that would work. I think that would solve the issue. Now, if you have this on a ladder rack on a truck that doesn't bounce as much, you may be able to get away without it and not have the problem. But being it's on this trailer and it bounces around a lot, I think that's my biggest problem, because this thing shakes a lot down the road when I hit the bumps. So that's one. I can't say it's an issue, because from Yakima, it's just an issue overall. I think just it all depends how you set it up. The rod wraps and the lure keepers would probably solve that issue. So I can't blame Yakima for that one. It's probably set up to be this way, to have your rods and your reels put together. That's probably what their thought was, and they probably figured people would get ready at the ramp or before they go on their boat. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. The other thing, one thing I do say though, you know, especially with just having rods in here without having rod wraps on them, this keeper here, it's not tight. So the best thing to do is I just take this, I do it like 4 or 5 twists, and I pull it down, and it's a lot tighter. And you know, there's a little bit of movement, but these rods do not leave their home. So that's one little tip I would suggest, is you definitely got to, you know, take this rod keeper rubber and spin it around a few times. You know, if you had the rod wraps on here, it'd probably take up a little bit more room, and it may work coming straight across, but you may still probably have to do that wrap. That's the only thing I've seen. Well, that's the 2 things I've seen wrong with the Yakima box: the seal and this itself. They should have made this a little bit shorter. I may be able to shorten this up. Yeah, there's really knots in the back, but they got it like kind of like with a crimp on it. You could probably shorten these up so you don't have to wrap these, but it's not a big deal to wrap them. I just kind of, you got used to it, and you can, you know, I'm doing this one-handed anyway. Just take my hand and just wrap it around and then pull it tight, and it keeps it a lot tighter. So it's not really a big deal to do that. Besides that, the box itself, the good things about it, I like it. You know, it's taken a beating on this trailer for sure. So we'll see the longevity of this. We'll see how this is in 1 year. We've had no problems with the locking mechanisms. You know, that's one good thing about it. It locks, comes down with a key, and it locks. I like that you can keep your rods and reels together and they're not getting beaten up. You know, if you stuck it in a tube, you could do rods and reels in there, but you know, with the rod wraps, without putting real covers on them, you know, your gear's gonna get beat up in here. This is just extra for right now, just for future, you know, when my son's older, they come out with me, and if I ever want to take a friend with me or a buddy, they can throw their kayak on top of the trailer and we can throw them in here. I'll just tell them either come with rod wraps, or we'll just lay the rods in there and take the reels off them. So this eliminates taking your reels off and really having to worry about putting a lot of protection on them. You can leave them set up just like this, and you know, they're locked. You know, like I said, with that tape on there, I'm waterproof and dustproof for the most part now. So I think even if they did better with the seals, I would probably still wrap it with tape just to keep any of that, you know, fine dust coming down the road into here, because you know that fine dust will get into your reels. Besides that, guys, I really like the box. I think it could be, I think a $500 range is actually a good price for it. I think over that, I think you're overpaying for it. But you know, you just gotta get it at the right time, like I did around Christmas time when they had like 20% off the website. So it's worth waiting for to save that couple $100 for sure. That was with shipping too. I think it was like free shipping. So it's worth the $500. Is it worth the $700? If that's what I had to pay for it, would I do it? Yes, just because it does work out well. You can really jam 8 rods in here, no problem. You can keep 8-foot rods in here. That's what it's made for. So overall, you know, the little things about the rubber cord and the tape at the bottom is not a big deal. I just wish that the lures would stay on the rods. So like I said, I have to go either early to the ramp and do this and set up, or I'm going to invest in some rod and lure wraps to solve that issue, and we'll be all good. After 1 month being on the trailer, getting bounced around a lot, I'm having no problems with the mechanisms for locking it, and I have no cracks in the box. That's what my concern was with the stress being on the trailer. We'll see how this holds out after a year. Hopefully we don't get any cracks in the box, because it's not super thick, you know, so hopefully that the stress from being on the trailer doesn't crack the bottom of it. If it does, then we're gonna probably have to stick with tubes, and that'll be it, and maybe we'll figure out something else up here. But I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I'm always just thinking about in the future what could happen. So hopefully it's a durable enough plastic for the price you pay for that it can hold up and get beat up and not have a problem. So overall, if I had to give it a rating out of 5, we'll give it a 4, maybe a 4.5. I mean, the little issues I had with it, you know, that I'm having with it is really not issues from Yakima. So we'll give maybe a 4.5 just because of that seal at the bottom. Besides that, it's a great investment. I think it could be cheaper, but that's just my opinion, guys. So if you guys are looking to get one of these, I would. I mean, I wouldn't, you know, like I said, I would just wait for around the holidays and see if you can get it at a cheaper rate, or maybe you can get a discount from somebody. But they are definitely worth the money. So I would definitely get one, and you'd be happy with it. So I'm happy with it, and I think you guys will be happy with it. So as next time, guys, just want to do a quick little 1 month review of this, little tips and tricks and some quirks that I have with it, and we'll hit it again after maybe a year and maybe see how it's holding up, and let you guys know if it was definitely worth the investment after a year being beat up on the trailer. Like I said, I think on a truck it probably won't get it. On a truck it'd probably last for a long time. On this trailer, I'm hoping it's gonna last for a long time, but we'll see what happens with all the bouncing around it does, and hopefully it doesn't crack. And we'll catch you guys on this Yakima box in 1 year. So as always, thanks for watching. Be safe in the water, and I'll catch you guys in the water. All right, catch you next time.